Alright guys, this is the members recap. I just did a free one for everybody. This one's going to be a little more in depth for the members. So today, if you looked at a lot of charts, guys, everything was gapping up and a lot of stocks were putting in this range down here on the 1 hour and 15-minute chart, right? So you can come here and I'll put it up the 10-minute chart and I'll take away so everything was putting in this range and gapping up over that range, right? And really, gapping straight up over these ranges, into next resistance, so it had room to move up, right? Because it's getting over. Because whenever you see a stock, guys, when it puts in a range like this and it gaps up over this range, here's your range. Here's a range that it got over yesterday, and then it gets over this range, so then it has room up to this next level, You always look for the next level. If this is the next level and it gaps up over that, well, then it's the next level it can get to is here. So, a bunch of good plays, guys. To start it off, Amazon was called out right over here, like 15, I think 84, right in this area. And it absolutely ripped. I mean, look at the 10-minute chart. It gapped up over this range perfectly down here, right? Had this range to where it gapped. The next level was this. It gapped up with it perfect, right? So it had room to this next level, right up in here. If something gaps up, you're looking for it to get over this range. It got over this range, gapped up to right on this range to be exact. You see the line? It gapped up to where it was right on this next level. So when it gaps up and it holds that level and everything starts to run, it's going to get to this next level, most likely, right? And for a gauge, you're looking at SPY and you're looking at all the other FANG stocks, right? To get an idea of market sentiment and how strong the actual market is that day. So it was a no-brainer. We said in the pre-market that a lot of stuff looked good to run. We just needed a strong market. Sure enough, we got a strong market out the gate, and everything started to run. Amazon was one of them. The options went up about 200%. That was a great call. Roku. Same thing with Roku. If you look at the hourly and the 10-minute chart, it had this range, right? Look, gapped up right over this range. See that? Look at that. Gapped up right on top of this range, used that as support, bounced right off of it, and ran up to the next level. Here's the next level. See how perfect that works, guys, whenever you mark these lines on your chart and these support and resistance, these ranges? That's why they're so important. It gets up over this range because this was the next resistance level. So if it gapped up here, you wouldn't want to take the trade until it got over this, because if it got to this, it could reject and sell off. But it just so happened to gap right up on top of that range, and it was using that as support now, right? Came right down, tested it, and ripped, right? So in the morning time, when you saw the whole market was strong and this sold off right until that level and curled back up and got back over VWAP and did a kind of like a red to green on the day, once it broke over these highs, it was off to the races. And you got probably about 50 to 100, maybe even more in the option, weekly option, right? So then you had NVIDIA. This was actually called short. I missed it, but it was called short in the room. On Mike, not in. The options went up about 50%. They went from they went from like 170 right here to like 325, or I forget what it was exactly, guys. I think from like 170 to 250, I think. So you got you got a pretty good bit, but then it started to bounce. A lot of members took this and made a good 50 cents, and then it started to bounce, right? It was weak on the day. Everything else was ripping, right? So when you saw this weak on the day and everything else was ripping, it either made you think that this was going to sell off all day to relative weakness of the market, or it was going to put in a red to green move if it started bouncing. Sure enough, it started bouncing. As soon as it got over this level, we called it out. It pulled right back down to that level. Bam, shot up and gave you, I think the options went from like $1.50 to $2. You made a good 50 cents on the option. Apple was called out. Same thing. Look at the date. Look at the Well, this one was a little. So okay. Look at this range. It had this range right here that it needed to get over. It gapped right up over that range, right? Went right through it, pulled right back to that range, and this is where we called it out on this flag break. Bam. You got it for a nice rip, pulled right back into the EMAs, and ripped again. Look how perfect that is, guys. Look at why you need to pull up your 10-minute and your hourly chart, and I like to do it without pre-market support and resistance so I can see a better picture, and then I'll bring that back into the picture so I know where that's at, because those are important also, right? But look how important it was to be able to see that it had this range to get over, this resistance to get over right here. It gapped up right over it, kind of shot, not right over it, but shot through it, pulled right back to it, held the 20 EMA, and then ripped up. Flagged, pulled back to the 9 and 20 EMA and VWAP, bam, and shot up for more, right? Pulled back, you could have sold out most of your position, held a quarter, or even all of it. As it pulls back into VWAP, you can add to your position, trade around your core position, and you get your next rip up, right? So, another beautiful play. Then you had Facebook, guys. Facebook never really got going. We actually called this one out long, I think, and some members lost on it, and that's okay. Everyone's not going to work out. But there were so many plays today that did work out. And if you put yourself in a position to where you could sustain that loss without it messing you up emotionally, you should have easily came back. Even if this was the only trade, because we called out so many winning trades to the upside. Even if this was the only one you played, we killed it on a bunch of stocks on the downside today as well. So you could have easily played this, missed all the morning plays because this was the one trade you picked for that morning rip up. It didn't work, and then you reset emotionally, because it shouldn't have messed you up too much emotionally if you were positioned right and you didn't lose too much. And then you come back strong. We call this under this lows right here. What does it do? Bam. Option went up from about 150 all the way to 325, 350. You made over 100% in the option. I know some members held it all the way down. And then, look, what do you know, guys? I had this marked on my chart. I told everybody in the room, I said 149 is the next strong support. Once it gets through 150, 150, this line right here, once it gets through this level here, look at this, guys. It sells off, right? Your next support level is going to be right here. Just look at the 10-minute chart or the hourly. Your next level is right here. If it gets through that, what's the next level if it gets through that? Well, look at the chart. If it can break through this, the next level of support is going to be right here. And I told everybody that. Once it broke this, I told everybody watch 149. It came down to 149 to a T, bounced off of it, double bottom, and ran. So you could even took this long, off of support. And that's a little more tricky of plays. You'll get better. Some of you guys that are newer, you'll get better at that. But, man, what other plays? There were so many plays today, guys. We called a lot of plays out. Baba was called out. This was called out right here under this little consolidation. You didn't make much on the option. It did give you a quick run down, and you probably made 50 cents on the option, but you would have had to take it quick, and if you were going for the bigger move to here, you might have got, stopped out. But the fact of the matter is there were so many plays, guys. I'm trying to think of more plays. Roku was one that was called. Look at this range. It gaps up over this range, this resistance, right? Gaps up over that line, runs a little bit, pulls right back to that line, catches support, and runs. You see that? This is why it's so important, guys, to mark these levels. You know, you have to have these levels marked, because this is where you're going to be able to know if something gaps up over this level. You know the next level it can get to theoretically is here. Is it always going to get there? No, but a good chances are in a strong market like today, yeah, it probably is. That's how these stocks move, guys. You're not guessing. You know, that's how these stocks move. When they gap up over a level, or once they make it through one level, they have a gravitational force to either fill gaps or fill next resistance levels, right? So other traders are looking at this too. They see, okay, it made a clean break of this resistance. Now it has a clear, a clear gap, not a gap per se, but a clear gap in the chart of where it has no resistance, all right? So it has clear room to where it can run. It has no resistance between here and here. Next line of resistance, right here. What does it do? Touches it to a T, guys, and sells off, right? So, great trades today, guys. Man, I'm sure I'm missing some. I know I'm missing some. NVIDIA, we took long. Actually, I talked about this one already. SPY was called long. You know, out the gate. Look at this level. It gaps up over this range. It gets over this range yesterday, which was a good sign. This is why we were bullish on the day, guys. So look, it was chopping around in this range here, and then it chopped around in this little range here. You see this range from here to here, chopping around? Has that nice range right there that it needs to get over these highs. At the end of the day, yesterday, it finally got over those highs, right? And it came into the 200 SMA on the 10-minute. Well, this is why we were bullish on today out the gate, because everything was gapping up over its range. The SPY was gapping up over this range, and SPY had clear resistance to right here. But it gapped up all the way to right here, so its next line was right here, right? So, what did we do? The morning, it opened up, it sold off a little bit, right to that support line. Look how perfect it works, guys. Sells off directly to the support line, and what do you know? Bounces off of it and gives you a nice run. So this is how important it is for you to mark these lines, guys. I have all these lines were marked pre-market before the market opened, and you just saw with your own eyes how well they worked on a handful of stocks. They pulled right down to it, held support, they gapped up over them, pulled back down to it, held support, and ripped, right? And that's why we were bullish on this market today, because everything was gapping up over. I said this in pre-market. I said, guys, everything looks good today for a run, because everything is gapping up over some nice ranges, and they have clear room to the upside to the next resistance levels. So just check that out firsthand, guys. We'll be back in the chat tomorrow to do it again. And guys, I know some of y'all, we called out Facebook long. This was one of the ones that didn't work. But man, even though it didn't work, you should have. Worst case scenario, guys, if this was the only, I know a lot of times, guys, you have smaller accounts, so you're trying to be more selective. So let's say that all the, we called out 5 or 10 plays that all worked in the morning time, and the options went up 100, 200%. Anywhere from 50 to 200%, but a lot of them went up 100 to 200%. So you had a lot to choose from. But I understand that if you were trying to figure out which one you were going to play, because you were only going to play one, because you have a small account, you can only make a few trades a day with your cash account, and you were selective and you picked this over these highs. Everything else was ripping. It looked like a good setup. That's why we called it out. And it fails, right? So understand that you missed all the rest by choosing this one, because you choose that one play, and the one play you choose, fail. But you shouldn't be taking full size on a position, So whatever size account you have, you should be breaking that down into a couple trades. Even if you have a smaller account, at least 2 trades. So the loss shouldn't have been big enough to affect you mentally, and you should have been able to reset and then get in on the stuff that whenever stuff started curling over, right? And Facebook was a perfect one. You could have reset, got in, and look, option went up 150 to like 350 or 325. You know, you made about 100%. So many great plays today, guys, and I think this is a great video. Even though these trade recaps are super simple and they're straight to the point, and I know a lot of new traders might be quick to dismiss them and think that they're not really teaching anything. They're just going over trades that we already took. What do I need to watch them for? But they are some of the best learning tools that you can use, just because when you see things like this, I'm telling you why we were bullish on the day. Why were we bullish on the day? Because everything was gapping up over these ranges. It helps you new traders see, oh, okay, it had this range here. It made it through that range. So at the end of the day, when I saw everything break out, when SPY broke over this range, I knew the next level was here, right? So I said, okay, we can easily run to this level tomorrow. But what did it do? It gapped up over that. So then I had this level and this level. I said, okay, we could easily run to this level and possibly this level. What did we do? We ripped out of the gate. Same thing with all the other stocks I just showed you. I'm not going to show you again, but they're all just perfect examples of how everything was gapping up over its ranges, and you use these different support and resistance levels to decide how far, where a stock can go. When the stock was selling off, we took it right here, you know, right under these lows. Bam, it sells off. Once it broke this level, I told everybody 149 was the next level. It made it to a T, you know. And that's about all I got to say, guys. If you need any help, DM me if you have any questions. We're going to do this again tomorrow, and y'all have a good day.